morning, everybody, and welcome to the first Clubs Forum for 2025.
Yay.
And I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners from the lands that I'm coming to you from, and all of you are coming from today. I'm sitting on Mirrawong country, if anyone's ever heard of a little town called Kununurra in the far northeastern pocket of Western Australia. So I would like to introduce you all to our president, Mrs. Jennifer Wilcox, and our CEO, Paul Dovis. So
everyone,
thank you both for taking some time out and joining us today. And today's forum, we wanted to talk to you about some social opportunities to try and encourage new members into your club and leveraging off the BeConnected resources that are available to everyone, regardless of whether you're a network partner or not. These resources are on the BeConnected website, and they are created by the Office of E-Safety, and they're available to anyone. They're open. There's no restrictions as to who can access them and who can use them. But we would like to encourage all of our clubs to apply for building digital skills grants, etc., if they want to start using these resources and attracting new people at no cost to the new people. And we're hoping that this will act as a way to encourage new people to come into your club. And so we've been talking about it a lot on an ASCCA board and team member level, and we know that there's a resistance for people to come back into clubs, etc. People are getting tired. So we thought perhaps if we talked about having social opportunities for potential new members coming into your clubs, that you are offering them a chance to have a catch up with like-minded people and having themes like digital photography or writing memoirs, etc. And so we've come up with a list of things that we think might be of interest to club members based on our past experience, because Jen's run her own computer club in Walpole for 10 years, all project based, and I've been running social interaction activities for the best part of 20 years through not-for-profits, etc., in the small country towns that I've lived in. So we thought digital photography would be a great one, and we wanted to share with you a few little hints and tips and some of the resources. So if I could just get a show of hands, who has run photography type activities in their clubs? Nobody? All right. So is that a new concept for everyone, that you're running project-based where the technology is almost an aside, it's not the focus? So we were hoping that might sort of provide a bit of impetus for people to say, oh, I'm looking at new hobbies and I use my phone camera a fair bit, so how can I make my photos better? Mind you, the algorithms built into phone cameras these days make it pretty hard to take a bad shot. So
well, I was going to say, with the new technology, it makes it much easier than when I did run computer clubs and we had the likes of GIMP to, enhance photos, correct them and whatever. They were really quite cumbersome back then and onerous for older people to learn. And these days, it's so much easier and easily understood. So I think that there should be a good pickup of the new technology for sure, and not have to pay lots and lots of dollars to buy Photoshop or something like that had to in the olden days.
Yeah, absolutely. That's perfect. And Paul, I know that you're an aspiring photographer like me. We both love to pick up the camera. I've become an extremely lazy photographer these days with the advent of better and better cameras in my iPhone. I have kind of shelved my digital SLR that I've been using digital SLRs for 20 years or even longer now, goodness me. And so it's getting harder and harder to take a good shot on your own with the older digital SLRs because the algorithm bumps everything up for you. So, and it's funny, my daughter came up for Christmas for a week, and she brought with her disposable cameras with film in them. So a couple of them were waterproof ones, and then she had a couple of normal ones, and so stuck with 24 frames, and that was it. And then she had to pay to have them processed at Kmart. And I said to her, "Oh, did you go and pick them up?" And she goes, "No, I got them to email them to me."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, why did you use a film camera?" But it's much harder to take a good photo on film than it is to take it with your with your phone or your digital camera these days, especially if you've got the newer models. So it's interesting to see that the younger generation are going back to those traditional type methods. It's definitely a skill to try and get a decent shot.
The other thing that's quite ironic is that the new technology, the really advanced, expensive cameras and what have you, come with filters to make the photos look like they've been taken on a film.
Yes,
camera.
Absolutely. Yeah. They do too. Yep.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things you can do in AI and just general tweaks in your Photos apps to make the photos even better.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of judging where do you stop. So what I do want to share with you the topic library on let me just get my correct screen. One or two.
While Natika's doing that, that reminded me when I came to Perth en route to Canberra a couple of weeks ago, one of my granddaughters had an SLR camera, and I was really surprised that she had, and she'd been given it for Christmas, and she was quite intrigued in finding out how it all worked rather than just getting a phone and pressing the button. So, I think there's a whole new sort of element of intrigue or wanting to learn by the younger ones as well of how it was. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I can remember back in primary school doing the pinhole cameras, as a science activity and stuff. You
can still buy them. You can buy them, and you can also buy now a attachment that goes in front of your lens that creates the pinhole effect.
Excellent.
So the manufacturers of Ilford, they're called, they do the really good photo paper.
Goodness me, that's an old name.
Yeah, so they've got a pinhole camera kit that you buy and build yourself and what have you. So
excellent. Yeah. I've popped a couple of links in the chat panel so that you don't have to go and punch in all the words. If you can't see the chat, please let me know. But this site here is the BeConnected topic library. And as you can see, all I've typed in is photos. And so this brings up topics and courses based on the search term of photo. So you can see there's a whole topic of fun things to do with your photos. So this introduction to photography session that you run could spark off a bunch of other activities to say, well, here's how you take a good photo. You could have, you might have connections in your own local community. You might be able to find a photographer that can come and speak to the basics, such as good composition and the impact of lighting and all of those sorts of things, and how that impacts the photographs you take with your smartphone or with your digital camera. And then these options here are ways that you can use your photos. There are a whole bunch of apps out there that if it's not quite right, you can retouch them. There's let me just find so this one here. So this is Canva. So I have a paid subscription for Canva, and any not-for-profit organisation can apply for not-for-profit pricing, which means it's free for your club and you get the full paid version of Canva. And there's lots of cool apps and things in here that you can use for your photos. So, for example, this little fungi that was in my backyard, I want it to be filling the whole background. So you can see up the top here, I have an edit button. So if I click on edit, this brings me the Magic Studio. So I can come in here and have a look and say, right, see the Magic Expand? I'm going to run the Magic Expand. I'm going to have it fill the whole page, and then I'm going to click expand. I haven't tested this one, so I don't know what it's going to look like, but let's see what AI thinks the rest of the background filled out should look like. So it's doing its magic.
T, can I just ask you to share your screen, because we can't actually see that part.
I'm seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you, up the top, Danny, if you have a look, you might have popped it out and it might be behind something else.
No. Let me look.
Or look at your view options, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just in the view now. I've got speaker, but it's not there.
All right. Well, I will make sure you get a copy of the recording once. We'll be putting this on our YouTube channel anyway, so I'll pop that up there.
You.
So
Teek, I just got a question on the myself on this. So did it, because I wasn't watching when all of a sudden I looked up and there was the did it actually expand the mushroom, or just the background and leave the mushroom the same size it was?
I think it's just the background has been expanded.
Yeah.
So
nice.
I will go and have a look at that again. And you can see on the left-hand side of here, there's 4 options that it's given me. And if I don't like any of those, I can generate again. But if I click on to the so you can see in that, well, I can on my screen, there's a very faint line where the original image was, which was a square in the middle. Whereas that first option was I can still see it in there. So you can pick and choose how the AI has done it. That might give you a bit more of an idea of what it did. Yeah, so it didn't change the size of the subject. It just expanded the background out for me. So, I mean, that was pretty quick and easy. There's other cool stuff in here.
And it's a pretty good attempt, because usually when there's a lot of noise or a lot of different varying colors on the image, gets confused, but it's done a really good job. Yeah.
And look, seriously, if you're working with portraits and profile pictures for your website or anything like that, this is a really good option. If you've got like a portrait photo but you want it square so that you can put it into a circle on your website for consistency, if you've got plainish backgrounds, you can grow the background quite easily and it looks good. The other option is there's also a background remover option. So if I pop another page in there, so this lovely photograph here of people that we might recognize. So if I expand that out to here, and then I see the background remover. So if I click that, that should be able to find Jen and Nan and the lady in the middle, and it's removed the background for us. So then what we can do is go to elements and look for green shrub. So I can, so there, that's a video. We don't want the video of it. We just want a photograph. No, I want photos. There we go. So what I can do is I can pop that in the background, and the position, I put it right to the back, and then I can pull those people down there. And that background, it's a bit, bit much. So I can pull it back.
Because you used that on my profile photo once.
Yeah. So I can pull that back a bit, or I can blur it a bit. I can do all sorts of things with that background.
you can desaturate it and all that kind of stuff too. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you've got things that are distracting in the background of portraits that you need to use for your club website or for social posts, etc., I mean, this is relatively simple and straightforward. So Canva is another class that you could run at your club. That it's very popular here. I do quite a bit with small businesses, and it's always oversubscribed when we run a Canva session. So
it's not just a photo tool. It does all sorts of stuff, email templates and social media tiles and what have you to promote.
Some beautiful certificates, haven't we?
Yeah. So does anyone have
and
any
integrates with a lot of things. So if you're building a website, for example, a lot of the website platforms will integrate straight into Canva and etc. So yeah.
Yes, I know when we're ticketing events with Humanitics, that will offer you the Canva access to create your banner, etc. And then you're not having to go around and find out what dimensions your banner is and all of that stuff. It's just right there in the Humanitics background. So and it's pretty fully functioning. So yeah, it's pretty good. The only downside is
and you can it already, so all your social media, it has the tiles ready for you for Instagram, and LinkedIn's a bit difficult because LinkedIn's always changing their preferred sizes, and
but
so
Instagram has just changed their preferred sizes as well. But Canva are onto it. They've already got the Instagram template that's the larger format, so that's been pretty good. So if you don't even know where to start for these sorts of activities at your club, if you are a network partner with BeConnected and you have a grant, or even if you don't, you've got access in the background if you've signed up to BeConnected with the Good Things Foundation. They have in here session plans and how to write a session plan. So if you're a bit lost as to how to run one of these sessions, these resources are very, very handy. And all I've done here is search in the mentoring resources, search for session plan, and it's popped up with a few already. So those are AI focused. There's one on how to write a session plan. So these are all downloadable resources available to BeConnected network partners. So definitely jump in and make the most of these. There's a template there, there's a how-to, on all of the topics, not just the photography stuff and the AI stuff. So I do also want to show you a couple of little things. Google Photos. Does anyone here use Google Photos?
Have done.
So so Apple's my first language. So, Windows was my first language, but I've moved over to the Apple forum these days. So Android is my third, I suppose, and it's not my comfort zone, but I've put a few photographs in here, and I just want to show you some of the functions in that before we go to the Apple Photos app, so that we've sort of crossed off both of those platforms for people.
So Natika, just for people who are on a Google platform, so Google Photos give you some editing abilities, and but they also have a product which they bought called Shutterstock. Not Shutterstock. I'll get the name of it, but it's a really, really powerful one, and it comes usually with your Google Suite or Google software.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so and that's has a lot more functionality, more like an Adobe Photoshop scenario. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'll look up the name of it.
So this is Google Photos. I have popped a few in there of my own dog and my grand puppies. So what I've done is I have added them to the people and pets albums. And you can see this is little Mila May, this is Jack in the middle, and this is little Pepper here. So if I want to name each of these dogs, I can have a look in here and I can see that Pepper is in each of these photographs, and I can just add the name here. And it's similar in the Apple Photos app. So I can click done. You can do this with people. You can do this with pets now on both Apple and Google photo apps. So then I can pop back here. So that's how you can find things more easily. Whereas if I just come straight into photos, it gives it to you in chronological order. They sort by date. So in here, you can see for the free Google Photos storage or Google storage, you get 15 gigabytes for free, which is one of the, Snapseed, great, thanks, Paul. One of the biggest free cloud storage accounts that you can have. So a lot of the others start at 5 gig, and once you go over that, you need to start paying a subscription fee every month or every year.
And can I just, sorry, just add, as someone who only got into photography 6-7 years ago, but I have run out of so much cloud space, and I'm at the point now where I can't afford to buy any more cloud space. So that lesson that they had suggested, BeConnected, about how to manage and store your photos, etc., it's a really, really good, important lesson, a very valuable lesson if you want to offer that. It's because it becomes a problem really quickly.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, how do you wrangle in your storage options?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that in my Apple Photos library, I have 22 years worth of digital photographs in there. My kids growing up, that equates to 133,000 photographs, and then another 6,000 or 7,000 videos, because I was the local photojournalist in my small town, because our organisation created our newspaper. So I was at every single event, and I never just took one photograph, because when I was doing photography at uni level, it was always take more than you think you're going to need, because then you're going to get the frame you want. So now I have to be very harsh and go back and go, do I really need every single person at the Wyndham races in 2005? So those are that would be a very good session to run for clubs, I think, Paul.
I don't want to make this a competition, because I feel like a loser with what I'm going to say, but I've got 270,000 photos which I've built up in 7 years. So
7 years.
And I sort of had to sit back now like you and say, okay, what can I get rid of? And I'm by nature I'm a bit of a hoarder, so I don't want to get rid of anything, right? So
me too.
I find it very hard
to. Me too.
Yeah, it
well,
is
I
very
had so many in Google that it actually wouldn't allow any other function in Google. And I've got a Gmail account just for, you know, if ever I need it. And I couldn't even use that. I had to deal with it.
And I can't, I've got a couple of little SD cards and one of those external cards which I need to pay someone to try and recover photos, because they've broken down and I've got photos in there that I haven't processed or seen yet. So yeah, it's an issue. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So there's lots of potential topics that we can use. So I'm just going to show you briefly the basic photo editor that Google Photos offers, and of course I'm using this on my desktop. So this is Pepper. Her mum and dad were packing up to go to Japan for their holidays, and she wasn't talking to us. Hence the, you know, attitude. So if you can see this up the top here, see how it has like little slidey bits? There's an edit option there, and you can see I can enhance automatically, and those little stars are the hint that it's just an AI, it's an algorithm thing that's doing the enhancing, and you can click it on and off and see if you like it. There's very, very subtle changes in that. I can make the colors more dynamic, I can make it warmer, or I can make it cooler.
So when you make it warmer, you're adding a bit of yellow, really, those warm colors.
That's
and when you cooler, you just add blue to it.
Yeah. And you can see there's a crop. I can crop it down. I can have it freeform, which means that it can be any size. I can keep it original. I can make it 9:16, 16:9. So if I click it to 16:9, you can see it makes it landscape mode rather than portrait mode. So it's just a matter of getting your head around all of these bits and pieces. And this app here are more filters, and they all have different names on them. So you just play around until you find one that you like, and there's a slider down here that can make it more or less so. Metro one is quite washed out look, and I can pull it up or down. So there's a few things on there. You can also add text or highlights and write on there if you're on a tablet with a pen, etc. So make them very.
Natika, the sliders that are next to the filters. Yep, that one there. So that gives you so you can actually make manual adjustments to brightness, contrast, all that kind of stuff as well. So you can, rather than a filter, you can create your own look.
So you can make it really punchy. You can put the white point up or down. So, and my favorite to make really punchy is upping the black point in photos. So, and then saturation. You can go too far with saturation sometimes, especially if they're photographs of people. So,
but you can get rid of the color and make it black and white though. So you can use the saturation to create a black and white look.
Yeah, I haven't played with this a lot, so I'm not sure. And then you can see it gives me the option to save a copy, which I think copy the edits, paste the edits, save the copy.
If you've taken a series of photos at the same time in the same light, you can just apply the same edits and you'll get the same effect. But it won't always work if you apply it to a photo. If you take a photo in the shade versus a photo in the sun, it might not work the same way.
Yeah. So there's lots of functionality in that on Google Photos, but I wanted to quickly talk to the Apple Photos with the Apple Intelligence function that's just sort of come out.
I use a whole combination of things, and I use both. Depending on what I'm doing. What I find with Google is really good if you want to share photos, if you want to share albums and what have you. It works really well. But Apple's probably a little bit better at some of the editing and that part of it. So anyway.
Yeah. I'll have a look at that in a minute, but this is the Apple Intelligence on the newer devices in their photos. So I do have albums with the people and the pets written in here. So if I create Jack and his friends, let's see what this comes up with. Jack is my dog. So see how his friends has popped up. Choose his friends. So I can say Bailey, I can say Pepper, I can say Chili and Mila. That should give us lots of options. So what it's doing now is having a look through my albums, and you can see the names flashing up under there and dates, etc. So what it's creating is a little video of my little Jack dog and all of his friends. So, and there should be some music coming through because it adds on music and so forth. I don't mind my messy Christmas house. So that's an easy way to create a video from your photos. So that was us trying to get a Christmas photo with everyone. So yeah.
Excellent.
And that makes it really easy for us to make photo collages or videos for things like 21sts, wedding anniversaries, etc. So I mean, you could run a session for Apple users on that and how they can set up their albums, etc. I'll just show you quickly.
Saves hours in hunting through family folders looking for photos when you've already sort of set it up pre that, and you just say what you want it to look for and it looks for it.
Yeah. So then I have got a photograph that I took a very long time ago in the Apple Photos app, and now I've clicked on the edit. So all I've done is come out of that. So I've got an album with clouds because I find these quite useful, that I can use them for backgrounds and so forth. And so this is one of my duller ones. And so this is, it's in Wyndham. So I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Wyndham. When I've clicked on the edit button, you can see there's a whole bunch of options here. There's also the little algorithm that you can use to click. And once that is there, see how it pumps out those. But if you don't necessarily like those results, you can click and expand on each of these things, and you can see, I mean, that's a bit too amped up for my preferences. Wyndham is a very hot, very remote, very dusty town. So as much as this punchy number is like, wow, that's pretty cool, it's too much. It's not Wyndham in my eyes.
It's not realistic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So it's about us finding the balance, and you can see all of the brilliance, exposure, highlight, shadows, brightness, contrast, black point all shift as I move that slider. So this is an algorithm that thinks, okay, is this what you want? Is that what you want? And it's doing it for yourself. But if you want, you can add extra tweaks to that. So again, the color you can pop down, you can do right the way to the top, or you can go full black and white. lose all the color. So, and then you've got lots of options in here, to the point of this is almost Photoshop level from back in the day.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, it's quite a good option if you're using an iPhone and you've got the Photos app, or if you're using a MacBook or a MacBook Pro. So there's more functionality on the desktop version than there is on the iPad or the phone. So, I mean, you could target specific activities to particular users down the track if you like. So, oh, I didn't want to do that. So the beauty of Apple is that you can come back in here and you should be able to revert to original. Oh, my bits are in the way. I can't see what I'm. There we go. See on the top left-hand corner, there's revert to original. So it always remembers what your original shot was like. So if you didn't like what you've done and you couldn't sort of figure out how to undo everything, you can still come back in and revert to original. So,
and look, can I just add that people often think that they need Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom for, Adobe Lightroom is designed for professional photographers. It's designed so it can be a workflow, so you code your photos properly. It takes in a whole big variety of formats, but in terms of adjusting the photos, it pretty much does the same thing that we've been shown now from both Google and Apple. So it's all that other extra bit that, sending it straight to the printers for quality printing. It's all that stuff that where Adobe is very strong in. But people often think they need Adobe to be to process photos. No, you don't. There's so much out there that you can use as we're seeing.
Absolutely, and with the advent of AI as well, there's an app called Remini, REMINI. And you can have a trial for a week or a month, I think it was. And so I've become the family historian because my dad and uncle are doing a lot of stuff, and so I've started picking up, and I have a lot of older photographs of my grandmother. This is the photograph I had of my grandma. You can see it's a little bit. It's not a bad photo, but it's lost a little bit of detail and so forth. So I ran it through the Remini app, and it sort of added a bit more definition. Can you see there's more definition in his face, in the background, etc.? And then I've tweaked some of the contrast and the black and white colours, etc. There are even apps that you can recolor old photographs if you wanted to go down that path. Just brings new life. And there's even now AI that can make these photographs become a video. So, and they're quite convincing. So, that in itself could be a whole other lesson as to not believing everything you see just because it's a video online these days, because there's a lot of stuff that people can do to make deep fakes is what they're called, and they're quite convincing. So
it's quite interesting because a lot of that technology that Natika is just talking about, they're using it to recreate historical figures. So I don't know if you've come across this. So they'll have they'll start off with a statue of Caesar, for example, and then it will come to life. And one of the things that the AI is doing without it being told to do it is it's making all these people quite beautiful and handsome and and fit, which is it's what we've fed the AI and how the AI interprets humans as being these really Adonises and which I don't know if that was the case for everyone, but
this photograph has been run through the Remini app as well. I'm not a fan of what it's done. So the fellow second from the right is my grandfather when he was in the Air Force during the Second World War, and it does not look anything like him.
No, but it looks like your son.
Does it?
Yes, definitely.
So I mean, it's smoothed out tones, etc.
But what fabulous resources that are available, readily available to anyone, and especially people, say, who go along once a week or something to a computer club, and it just gives them a whole added dimension and excitement Like, who wants to go along and learn Excel for 1 hour every week? And what do you do with Excel when you've passed? This allows them to build on what ASCCA has done in the past as well. And we used to have a program called Memories in a Shoebox, and it's exactly the same. It's just using new technologies, and all the older people and younger people, they still have all their memories, their photos, everything in a box stuffed under a bed. So here's an opportunity for them to get it out and dust it off and make it relevant for today. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah.
And it gives people a pastime as well.
Yep. As hobbies go as well, I think it's, and I might be a little bit biased here, it's really, really beneficial to your well-being. It really does. It gets you out, it gets you into groups and talking to people. I reveal a little bit about my health condition, but I've got a blood pressure issue, and I have to measure my blood pressure every day, and then it gets reported to the doctors. And whenever I've gone out in the morning and done a little bit of photography, or if I'm working on the photos and I'm getting my blood pressure done, the numbers are always lower than any other time.
Yeah.
And the doctor now knows, and she'll say, "Oh, and I see that you've been out to, photographing this morning or whatever." So I think it really does help your well-being.
Absolutely. And to be fair, it's quite a cheap hobby these days.
Yes.
Because you don't have to buy the film, etc. Everyone's smartphone these days, if you've got a smartphone, has a reasonable camera in it. So, or if you've got an iPad or a tablet of some sort, they have cameras. You could even, that's a bigger screen. It's a little bit easier as you're sort of getting older to see, more on the screen. My kids laugh at how big my font is these days. Cheeky little things they are. My arm's no longer long.
If you can afford a camera, go and get yourself a camera. It's not the same. It's
that's right. And there are apps that you can use on your phone that mimic that. And I know that the latest iPhones have got more controls. You can choose, but it is still algorithm based. It's not necessarily lens based like the traditional SLRs. But you can change the f-stops, you can change the shutter speeds, etc., etc. So
I've just posted one called Hipstermatic, and I think it is you can pay a subscription to get access to a lot more functionality, but you can do a lot on the free version, and that lets you change your lens. It does all sorts of stuff for you.
Yeah, and that's the sort of stuff that we want to encourage clubs to sort of talk about, what apps they already use, and use these forums perhaps as an opportunity to share what they're using and what they've got already, so that we you don't know what you don't know, and if you're not in that space, then you talk to other people. I always learn something. Like, I've learned a few things from what Paul's talked about today. There's so much out there. It's about knowing where to look and knowing who to talk to and just sharing what we know. So
and it can be done in a social environment, within a club, within a group of like-minded people, or you can dabble with it on your own as well. And so it's just got so many benefits, rather than sitting in front of the goggle box, doesn't it?
And there's a lot of YouTube material as well, some really good people to follow on YouTube that just talk about and teach you, and or just share their photos, and it's wonderful.
YouTube is an amazing resource for anything to do with learning. So you can even turn on your camera on your phone. So the basic principles of photography: leading lines, the rule of thirds, and the depth of field. So if you wanted to run something that goes right back to the basics of good composition, you can actually turn your camera lines on. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see that on mine, but can you see there? Can you see that there are lines in?
When you just got up really close, then we saw them. But not right now. There you can sort of see.
I need to stand in front of it so that it can see me. Can you see the fake white lines?
You're getting the reflection of the screen, so it's hiding the lines, I think. Yeah.
It's very hard to do that. But those are basically thirds. So your eye naturally goes to those intersecting points. So if you want to compose a really cracking photo, you don't have to put your subject in the middle every time. You can line it up with one or other of those thirds, and it gives you more impact. So the basics of composition are rule of thirds. Just Google rule of thirds photography or leading lines photography. I'm going right back to my high school photography lessons.
Yeah.
And it's easy enough. There's so much out there online. If you're into ChatGPT or Perplexity or anything like that, you can ask it to explain those things to you so that you can then put that into your session plan and speak to how to create a cracking photo with the composition. Because you'll look at photographs or paintings or images, and one will jump out at you and the other one will just be meh, just so. And you might not know why. But if you look at those that jump out at you, they're following one of those basic rules of composition, or they're playing with it to a way that will actually make that image more punchy. So yeah. So I think with the clouds, I had a few of those that were following the rule of thirds.
I'm sharing a resource which is free. It's actually put together from people at Cambridge University, but it's one of the best explainers of the type of stuff that Natika's talking about. So
excellent.
it's
That's wonderful.
called Cambridge in Colour. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
So you can see this photograph here is a very good example of the rule of thirds. So the sky is taking up 2/3 of the frame, and the horizon is in the bottom third. And that boab tree is sitting on that 1/3. So the composition of that is following the rule of thirds.
And it's all to do with the way our eyes move around an image.
Yeah.
And the way they travel around. But if you do, I don't know if Natika, you got this in your course. So I did a TAFE course a few years ago on photography, and we got to the end, and then the teacher's last words were, "Now go out and break all the rules." So,
exactly. So this one is breaking the rules a little bit. So this one is breaking the rule of thirds rule, because I've put that right down in the very bottom. It's under that 1/3 in the bottom of the image.
But it's
the
also
clouds
a great
are
example of leading lines. So the cloud lines are pointing to the car. So it's your eyes following those lines. And so it's really nicely done. Yeah.
So it's a matter of understanding those rules, knowing when you should break them. And with digital photography, it's not going to cost you every snap. So play around with them and see what jumps out at you. And that's what you want to be encouraging your people who might be new to photography, or ask around. You might have some old photographers, like formerly photographers, or the family snapper or something like that, and they might want to come and speak to this for you at your club. So use the resources that are there.
I can think of a few people in New South Wales connected with ASCCA a few years ago that would very much be interested in this. I might send them a link to the YouTube when it hits.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions or any comments or anything else that they'd like to add to today?
Well, I always enjoy editing, and I'm an Apple person. Then when you use the crop tool in Apple, you get that the grid comes up. So if you have you can replace where you photographed with quite easily.
Yeah,
I love it.
Absolutely.
I'm a real Apple fan.
Yay! I always love a kindred spirit. No, look, I tell you what, it has made picking up an SLR very hard, because
I've got to cupboard with them into. I only use the phone now.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
When you're older, I'm a lot older than you, and it's so light and easy to carry, and I think my photography is probably even better than was with the SLR.
Well, I would let me find you a cracker of a photo that I would never have got with my SLR, because of the fact that my phone camera is.
Is that the one you've got framed?
Yeah.
Oh. Wait for it.
It was just that my phone was in my pocket when I was on a stand-up paddleboard in the middle of the lagoon.
I'm excited today because I'm being delivered a lens for my camera, which is broken on purpose to allow light in. So it creates
different.
streaks. Oh wow, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's a cracker, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very nice.
I never would have got that with my SLR because there's not a hope in Hades that I would have taken my SLR on a stand-up paddleboard.
Yeah.
So
I got off the bus the other day, and it's not as good as yours, but it's still pretty good. But there was the
Really
clouds
nice.
like that. That was just so. I thought I've just got to take a photo. So I stood in the street and took the clouds.
Yes.
But I look across Botany Bay, so I've got plenty of water.
Another tip: do you shoot on live, Carolyn?
Sometimes I shoot a lot of dogs, and I like their ears pricked, so I use the live for that. And I'm also using the AI now to get rid of the leads because I don't like the look of leads on them, and it gets rid of them so well. I love it.
Well done. Excellent. So, Paul, do you want to share the one of your grandpuppy?
Oh, yes. So I just want to ask a question on yours first. On the paddleboard, were you standing when you took that? Or you? Yep. That's even more impressive. We understand. And
it was a glass off, to be fair. So it was glassy.
My son about a year ago he's left home, but he bought a puppy. He and his partner bought a little puppy, and of course they didn't think about how they're going to look after it. So a couple of days a week I babysit the puppy, and when I'm on my own, I always create a photo scenario and with the dog and I getting into mischief. And so I've had him at the races, I've had him at the casino, I've had him, at a bar drinking with me and all that kind of stuff. So and then I sent it to the kids, and this is the latest one that I did, which was, you can see that, had him practicing in the Mardi Gras.
Look at that.
Oh, that's clever.
So he's always getting into trouble, and then I'll make a comment saying, "Oh, how long is this rehearsal going to take? Come on, I got to leave. I got to get back to work." So now they expect that every time. So yeah, and that's using. I'll use something like a Canva or a Adobe Express, which is something similar, where I can actually cut out the image of the dog from another image and then just superimpose it on the one I downloaded from the internet of the Mardi Gras. So yeah.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
If I had time, I would have had the dog in a pink tutu, but I had to move quickly. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that is about it from me. If anyone has anything else that they would like to discuss or talk about, then now's your chance. So you can have a chat. Paul's got to run very soon. He's got about 4 minutes left. So it's a good opportunity.
I've got to go too. Thank you very much. It's lovely to see other people as crazy as I am.
Thanks for joining us, Carolyn. It was lovely to have you.
If anyone is interested in creating a course or plan of a lesson plan or what have you, I'm happy to give my 2 cents worth as well. If just reach out to me, and happy to help.
Yeah, thanks. I keep thinking of doing one locally, but I haven't got brave enough yet. But thank you very much. Bye for now.
No problem.
Bye, Carolyn.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
I definitely want to encourage all of our clubs to apply for the BeConnected funding too, to help them with these sorts of things. It's definitely worth considering. So, very good.
Yeah, good to see you. Got any comments, live comments at all, Alan?
No, I thought there was a lot of very interesting information in that. I think there's an opportunity to perhaps inject some life.
Yeah.
Perhaps, Alan, maybe go and see who's in your community that might be a future senior that has a passion for photography and get them to come along and get everyone amped up maybe. And then you've got a bit of a succession plan in place once you start getting those, as Alex called them, future seniors involved, and get them enjoying the interactions as much as anything else too.